Okay guys, welcome back to our car modeling tutorial, and what we're going to be doing today is hopefully working along the wing section of the car here and then up onto the roof section here, maybe to around this area. We're also going to be working around this section to the front bit of the door and down onto the side skirt as well. What we've done so far is we can see here that we've mapped out our area for the bonnet, and we've also mapped out the area here for the front bumper. What I'm looking at just here is maybe the amount of faces inside this wheel arch doesn't actually match the amount of faces that we have inside the bonnet here. So let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and really 1, 2, 3 viable areas of our wheel arch here. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to add a cut into this wheel arch here. And we want to make sure that we have the same amount of edges here, which is going to come to the same amount of edges on our wheel arch. So first things first is we could maybe move this along here. So just really want to make a little bit of space for a new cut. But we don't really want to be compromising the curve here. Okay, so that looks pretty good, but we're still one too many. So if we have a look on the front of the bonnet here, you can see that we only really need this section, this line here, and this line here, because we can see that they're the start and the bottom of the creases. So maybe what we could actually do is, if we double click on this whole edge, we can go to Edit Mesh, delete Edge and Vertex, and we can do the same. Well, we won't delete this one actually. What we're just going to do is we're just going to move it higher. So we're going to take this section here and we're going to use that to maintain as much of the bonnet as possible. I'll just mean pulling a few points out here and there to match that the best we can. It's not too bad there. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Okay, cool. So that means now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 edges to meet 1, 2, 3, 4 edges here, and then we can work the rest on the dough. So looks like we're pretty much good to go. So in the top view here, what I'm going to do is right click on the surface here and select the edge, and that's going to allow me to select 4 edges here that we've just edited and hit Ctrl E on the little world option here, and we're going to pull this section out over here. So what we're going to hopefully do is try and work our way down this crease of the wing here. Now we can see that on this section that we have 2 lines which is going to actually filter into this crease. So this one needs to start just shy of the crease. So with our vertex points here, what we can do is we can drag all the way in here, and we want to try and match a similar distance all the way along before we actually get to the crease as it is. Okay. And again, we can tidy this up slightly at a later date as well. What we're going to do is we're going to snap this vertices here directly to this one. So we're going to hold V and we're going to snap that straight to there, because we can see that we've got the top of the headlight looking pretty good there. So we select them both, Edit Mesh and Merge. So that's looking good. So we'll just adjust these slightly. So in our top view here, this is looking pretty good. And we can double check our front view. Okay, so what we need to do first is we need to adjust where these are sitting on our side view. Okay, so it looks like this needs to come a whole lot higher, so we can see the same crease on this one here is just running straight up here. So we want to pull these up a little bit higher there. Looks good. Looks good. Oops. To make sure that I'm selecting the correct vertices here. You can see that that one needs to actually come down there. Perfect. Yeah. And what we're wanting to do here, it's maybe hard for you guys to see once YouTube's compressed this video down, but we can see that we've got this line that is running just along here. So we want to kind of maintain a similar gap above that line as we have next to the line in the other views as well. So it's looking okay there just now. What we're actually going to do is we're going to take that back over here. Okay. And again, we just want to make sure that that's looking good in all our different views here. Okay, still looking good there. Okay, that's looking good to me. What we're going to do now is we're going to extrude this line all the way down in order to meet our segments over here. So again, we're going to hit our edge, and we will select all these edges here, Control E, hit the world option, and we're going to bring these out. And with our vertices selected, we're going to select each of these vertices, hold V, and we're going to snap them to the correct section of our wheel arch, and then we're going to edit mesh and merge these in here, just like so. Okay, pull this one down as well. And finally, get this one down here. Perfect. So now we have our section joined up nicely around here, but we can see obviously we don't have the full required amount of mesh. So we're going to use our mesh tools here. We're going to insert an edge loop, and it's going to allow us to insert an edge loop purely on this section here because it's not it's not currently properly attached. So what we can do is we can add our edge loop here, and we're going to get that roughly in line of where it needs to be. And then right off the bat, we can switch the vertices here, select those two, edit mesh, and merge. So they're sitting exactly where they should be just now. And what we're actually going to do is we're going to drag these sections now, and we're going to make sure that these are sitting properly on the actual line, which we're hoping to maintain here, which again is quite hard to see. Good. And we're going to make sure that we're actually sitting on it in our vertical plane here. Okay, it's looking good. And make sure we're looking good at the front. Okay, perfect. And then finally what we're going to do is we will add a mesh tool again, insert edge loop, and we're going to have one here match our next section there. And again, we are going to merge these sections here. Cool. So what we can do is just check out that section now, just make sure it's sitting quite nicely. We want to make sure as well that maybe we give a little bit of height to these sections here, just to make sure that we've got quite a nice bit of robust curvature in there. Cool. Okay, happy enough with that, that's looking good. So now what we're going to do is we will extrude our arch around the door section here, but what we're actually going to do maybe is we're going to add a few more edges in here just to make this reflect the same curve as the front section. That one in here. Maybe move these a bit further apart. And then we can follow the curve of this arch just around here. We don't want to give ourselves too much to work with just now, but we do want to give ourselves enough to firstly make this curve nice, but also facilitate all of the details that we're going to have working along the side of the car here. So what we're actually going to do is we are going to extrude these sections out in order to match the rest of this crease here, and then we are going to move along to match the edge of the door here. So in order to do that, you can see we've got a crease there in the bodywork, so what we're going to do is we'll move that down here just to match, and before we do anything else we're just going to check this arch here. So we can see that now adding those new sections in has made it bobble a little bit. Now we want to sort out these bobbles before we do anything else, because that will then reflect in the rest of the model as we go. So we want to make sure that we're coming quite nicely for those. Now if we take a look at our reference image here, we can see on the side of these images, let's look back here, so we can see that the arch does actually come in quite considerably. No, maybe actually not too much, it's not a bad angle just there. Okay, so I think what we'll need to do with ours is maybe straighten this bottom section out a little bit. Cool. Because we want to get this as straight as possible first. We want to get that looking exactly how we need it to look before we start extruding anything, because it will make our life a whole lot easier if we do it first. Good. Okay, so I think a good, if we have this extrude up, this extrude up, this extrude up, and then we'll have these elements here extrude to the side. So we're going to select all those edges, Control E, hit on the world option, and we're going to pull those through here. And then we can actually pull the scale option here just to straighten them out to start us off just there for us. Now this is going to maintain a similar kind of curve. Now we can see on our image here that this section maybe does tuck in just a little bit. So what we'll do here is we will move in on the x-axis ever so slightly there, just to give it a little bit of third dimension as we go. Now what we'll do is we'll switch to the vertex view, and we're just going to pull these in to match the front section of this wing here. Now one thing I will say is our gaps aren't quite going to be as big as a lot of the ones in this blueprint that we have. Now the reason for that is because I find that models generally look a little bit better when they have smaller gaps in between these sections. So if we go just inside here, and then we can have a nice straight edge at the bottom there. Awesome. Okay, it's looking good. Then we'll check our 3D view just to make sure that we're happy enough with the way that that's sitting just there. And what we're going to do here is we are going to extrude these three edges. Again, Control E. We're just going to pull these up a little bit. And first things first is, with our vertices selected here, we are going to join on to the first one over here. Again, holding V to snap two vertices, and then edit mesh and merge those two together. And then what we're going to do is we're going to pull these up here. We're going to extrude out one more time. And we're going to pull all the way up here to follow the line of the crease that we started earlier. And we can snap that there. And merge them together. So we can see here that we're trying to follow this crease in the bodywork all the way around here. So that means that our straight edge there is going to run all the way through here, and then we can bring the rest of the door down underneath. It's looking good. And what we'll do is we'll check that on the top view. So we can see here that we've got quite a little bit of work in order to bring these sections in here. So if we highlight our first one, we can bring that all the way in to match there. This one in here. This one in here. Good. And then what we'll need to do is we'll need to bring these sections into a nice mid-ground down here. Cool. Okay, that's looking good there. Maybe want to bring this one out visually a little bit more, and then we can bring this one in a bit to meet it there. Cool. And then we will finally bring this edge up here. Control E to extrude again. I'm just going to bring this out to the top. I'm going to take this all the way up, and if there are any edges in between that we need to add, we will. We'll follow the line of the body up here, and this one, I believe, is going to merge there. Okay. And our final point here. Awesome. Okay, so now what we're going to do, just check around visually just to make sure that the integrity of the and the harshness of these edges is still being maintained as we go here. And then that's going to allow us to add in our edge loop here, just to make sure that these sections are sit nicely together. Cool. Okay, so that's looking good. Nice and tidy mesh. We've got a few stretches coming over here, but that shouldn't be too much of a big deal as we go forward. So next thing is we are going now to aim to move up the window here, so we can see that what we'll want to do in order to do this is on our vertices here is we're going to pull this point. We're going to pull this down to where the window actually starts here. We'll make sure that that's in the right place there. We'll maybe pull these points here a little bit to kind of match the direction that we're working with there. That's going to allow us maybe to pull these over here. Okay. And I'll just make sure that we're still in position in this view here, because we don't really want to be adding too much mesh in this section just now. Awesome. So what we're going to want to do here is we're going to want to select our edges again, and we're going to take this edge and this edge here, hit Control E for our extrude. We're just going to drag this all the way to the top of the windscreen there, and I'm going to do the same here. And what we'll do is in our side section first is we're going to pull these points roughly to where we want them to be. So what we're going to do is we're going to go nice square onto the actual frame here. So this one can go there. This one can follow the crease on the actual stop. This one's going to follow the window. And then in our top point here, we're going to pull them together slightly. Top there, and we'll bring this one away to the edge of the frame there. And what we'll do, maybe just to give this a little bit of curvature just now, is we'll add one point in the middle here. Before we do anything else, we'll adjust this singular point. That means that we may have to make minor adjustments to anything else that we add in. Good, and then we'll check, see how that looks in the top view. So it's always important to maintain the curvature here. You don't want the model looking too flat at any point. We're going to go Mesh Tools again, insert Edge Loop at the top there, and we'll bring one further down here. And again, we're going to add more details as we go, so we can add one further down the bottom. Good. Okay, it's looking good there. And what we'll actually do, we'll just do it now. We'll insert one more edge loop at the very bottom here just to pull this section in. Okay. And then we'll check the side view just to make sure that's looking good. Awesome. Cool. So what we'll do is Control D, Control G. We're just going to flip this on the other side just to show our progress on the episode here. So we can see now that we've started to make on the wing, make a wing section here, which was a little bit difficult, but it's looking quite good just now. Start to go up to the roof. So in the next episode, what we'll do is we'll actually work across the roof itself, and then down the back, and then hopefully maybe even get started on the rear section too. Okay guys, cool.